Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. Welcome to another GMT review. After 0 GMTs on the channel for 2 years, I present you 3 in the space of 3 weeks. Today's is by Zelos. Now Zelos, Singaporean micro brand. I think I've reviewed 4 or 5 pieces of theirs so far and I've really liked them all. I think they offer a contemporary, bold and very consistent, recognizable design aesthetic and great pricing. Now they've got their own way of doing things. They offer the watches at a set price for a certain period and after a couple of weeks they crank up the price. This Horizons GMT in bronze is available at the moment for $649 US. The price goes up to $849 on June the 15th, so my advice is, as always, if you like the watch, get in before the price hike. But should you be interested in this one? Well, certainly on paper the specs are pretty good. Full CUSN8 bronze case, lume ceramic bezel, fantastic super luminova on the dial, and an ETA 2893 elaborate grade movement. Not bad for $650, is it? Let's flip the camera and get a look at it. Sponsored content alert. This Horizons GMT was sent to me for free by Zelos, but that doesn't mean to say it's getting an easy ride. There will be moans, there will be niggles, one of which is coming sooner rather than later. Packaging's pretty good though, as with all the other Zelos, comes in this nice proper wooden outer box containing within it a PU leatherette. So wood outer, this one is not, it's just plastic inner. But again, better that you get a watch roll included with your watch than not, that's for sure. And likewise, you get a couple of straps. Zelos are always good at the package, whether it's the boxes, the watch rolls, or chucking in a couple of extra straps. It comes supplied on the Tropic. I'm sure you've seen this one on other watches that I've reviewed, either by Zelos or by their sister companies Ergon and Ventus. And similarly, this leather strap looks familiar. I'm going to show you both today. I think it will look great on the leather strap actually, given all the colour tones should match nicely. But my first moan centres on Zelos's warranty, or lack of warranty. Nice little bronze card, but only 1 year. I moan about it every Zelos I review. Really, for an automatic from a micro brand, they're kind of falling behind here by only offering 1 year. I would love to see that change to 2 years. So Zelos, if you're watching this review, 2-year warranty please in the future. So all the usual review good stuff with this one then. Dimensions and specifications, indoor, outdoor, high-low wrist shots, and a lume video. I'm also going to pop it on the Timegrapher, see how well this ETA 2893 is performing. Now 40mm in diameter, across the case anyway, however the bezel, as I'm sure you can see there, sits in. 38mm across the bezel then. It comes across slightly dainty, I'll talk about that later. 13.5mm thick and 44mm lug tip to lug tip. So if you have smaller wrists, this is the bronze GMT that you've been waiting for. 20mm lug width, and on the supplied Tropic rubber strap, this one weighs in at 101 grams. CUSN8, as I mentioned in the introduction, so marine grade bronze on the bezel, on the case and on the crown. Case back though, as always, is stainless steel and not bronze, as it is far less likely to turn your arm green. Now this one arrived a couple of weeks ago, still pretty shiny though. These always look amazing when you peel off the protective packaging they come in. This one beginning to dull down just a touch, but still got that high polished shine to the side there. So case finishing, always good with Zelos. Bit of brush finishing on the sides and the lugs, and we've got that quite distinct, substantial chamfered edge with a polish. Zelos branded bronze crown and full bezel with lots of little serrations there to make it easy to grip. One word of warning, bronze watch, full bronze bezel, you're gonna have to keep rotating that bezel at fairly regular intervals. If you get it wet and then let it sit in a watch box, there is a chance that the case will corrode to the bezel and you'll have great difficulty. I know from bitter experience, by the way, so just one thing to bear in mind. Case finishing though, all very nice. It never has to be particularly fancy with bronze because the effect comes from the patina of the bronze itself, not really from intricate Zaratsu style finishing on the case. Now this may have 200 meters of water resistance, but it is first and foremost a traveller's watch. It's a GMT, As such, the bezel is bi-directional, but it's 60 click, which is slightly unusual. It means you're able to track the evens on the outer bezel, but you're not able to track the odds. So limiting its function somewhat if you were intent on tracking a third time zone. Having said that though, the bezel action is really good, very robust, kind of notchy. You're not going to knock this one in an accident, that's for sure. Zoomed in on the dial and you can see we've got a mixture of applied and printed. Applied Zelos logo there under the 12 and applied indices all the way around. Some printing there, GMT 200 meters, 660 feet above the date window at 6. So prominent triangles at the 12, 3 and 9. Again, I mentioned in the intro the kind of contemporary, quite aggressive styling of these Zelos. Very consistent now across all of their models. Batons at the 1, the 2, the 11, the 10, etc, etc. And no index down there at the 6. They have wisely, I think, chosen to integrate the date window down at the 6. Nice beveled edge frame around there and colour matched. I love it when companies take the time and the effort to spec a properly colour matched date wheel, and this is a green colour matched date wheel with white numerals. It is perfect, definitely one of the nicest integrations of a date complication on any watch that I have reviewed. The white numerals matching the white markers on the dial there for the minutes as well. So the Reholt chapter ring in green, again in keeping with this kind of dark British racing green theme. Yellow numerals, so we've got yellow Arabics denoting where that GMT hand is referring to, matching the GMT hand itself and the letters GMT there above the 6. So the fact that it does have two 24-hour bezels mean that in theory you can set a third time zone. So home time on the 3-hander, GMT or time zone of your choice on the GMT hand, and then the capacity to have a third time zone using that bezel. Now, as you can see, I'm sure it is a bi-coloured bezel. We've got a green to match the chapter ring and the dial on the bottom side, and a black to match the strap on the top half. Again, I think they've got the colours just about, not perfect, but just about right on this one. The handset is simple yet attractive, gold indices, gold hands, plenty of lume on those as I'll show you in a second, and a decent sized lume lollipop type thing on the second hand so you know where the second hand is at all times. May as well pop the lume video up now, seeing as I started talking about it. This is a bit of a Zelos specialty. They use a mixture of BGW9 and C3, so you get a combination of green and blue. BGW9 though is never quite as bright. I understand why they chose to put the BGW9 on the GMT hand, but it does fade quicker than the other hands. I guess in practice, in operation, it's still not too bad. Just a lume pip on the ceramic bezel insert, but as this isn't an out-and-out diver, again, not a problem. So let's talk about the movement then. My first encounter with one of these, an ETA 2893-2 as it is advertised on the screw down stainless steel caseback. Limited number of these and they're all individually numbered editions. This is 001 out of 120. The usual spec sheet, Zelos GMT, Sapphire and Bronze CUSN8. But this is what we're interested in here. Custom rotor. Now I hope you can make it out. That's actually a map of the world on the rotor. Not all that discernible in some lights, but a cute little touch. And as mentioned, it's an elaborate grade of movement, so there's a lot of perlage here, quite a bit of decoration. 21 joules, hacks and hand winds, and it is of course a 4 Hz movement, so 28,800 vibrations per hour, leading to a very smooth sweep of that second hand, 8 ticks of the second hand per second. Now, an independently adjustable GMT hand. So I'll unscrew the screw down crown, it pops out there. I can manually wind the watch by rolling the crown forward. One more pull, and I believe this should be bi-directional. If I pull backwards, it adjusts the date. You can see that one there. If I roll this forwards, it'll adjust the GMT hand by 1 hour at a time. And you notice I haven't had to hack the movement. I haven't stopped the movement whilst adjusting the GMT time. So if you're moving between time zones, very useful here. You're not going to have to reset the watch. Once you do, pull the crown out to the final position though. The GMT hand and the hour and minute hands move in unison, so you can adjust the home time, it'll automatically adjust the GMT time accordingly. But how does the movement get on the Timegrapher? Let's find out. Well, that is quite impressive. Healthy amplitude, minimal beat error, and plus 2 seconds per day variation. You would be delighted if you picked up a watch at this price and it was running at that spec. And there it is, sitting on top of my 7-inch wrist, and I think it's a good looking little watch. As noted, the colours really do complement each other well. The black, the green, mostly green here in that bronze case. These tropic rubber straps, as discussed, I've seen these before on pretty much everything that Zelos and their sister companies put out. Can't really go wrong with them. Nice and comfy, and a quality bronze buckle. Plenty of angles, plenty of interest in that buckle, not a cheapo. And that's it, zoomed out higher for perspective. Still plenty of legibility. Nice big, quite a lot of real estate on those hands. They're quite broad hands, so you should be able to discern very easily the hour from the minute, from the second, from the GMT, even at distance. Now the colour tones kind of deepen once you get this watch outside into some natural light. Sunburst effect, not hugely prominent, but I think a very attractive element to this watch's overall look. Really dark, deep green in the centre of the dial. Fits me a treat. 45mm lug tip to lug tip is really pretty short. You should be thinking Seiko SKX 013 as a comparison. So if that's one of your favourite watches, who could I possibly be referring to here? Then this watch is going to fit you size wise nicely. Look at that. How good does it look on that Horween? Yes, Horween. Smells fantastic. Zelos branded. You cannot beat a bit of dead horse on your wrist. I think this would probably be the strap of choice long term. Obviously, if you're going to be getting it wet, you can pop it on the rubber. Quick release this one for ease of use, the rubber. Tropic not so, but I think, again, the brown, the green, the black, the bronze, all beautifully colour matched. Nice of them to put one of these in with the package. Moans and niggles then. Well, I talked about the 1-year warranty at the beginning of the review. I'd be much happier to see this and all other Zelos with a 2-year warranty. And that GMT hand, yellow. I would have preferred to have seen that in red, to be honest. I think it would have been more prominent on the dial. Still keep that yellow, red, green, black thing happening, but added another little bit of red. They could have kept the yellow there and yellow numerals, but red and red. I think it would just have stood out a touch more than it does currently in yellow. And if I'm nitpicking, that GMT hand looks like it's been slightly over dipped. The yellow paint extends up the shaft of the hand. Perhaps just a couple of microns, but it is noticeable. And not strictly a criticism, perhaps just something for you to consider. It is quite dainty, I would say, for a 40mm diameter, but 38mm bezel, so it kind of shrinks the watch in the way that it looks and in the way that it wears. This is my Oris. You know I love a bit of bronze. Oris 65, that's a 40mm, but it looks, feels and wears much bigger than this Zelos. Similarly, this is the Seiko SKX 013, which is the little brother of the 009 007. 38mm and a half. What do you think? I think they look pretty much the same size. So as much as it's a 40, it wears like a 38, looks like a 38. Great if you've got small wrists and prefer small watches, but I would love to see Zelos add a 42 of this model or some of their other future models. They tend to do 40s and 44s. This one I think would really suit 42mm in diameter. And as if to reinforce that point that this is going to be bought by guys with smaller wrists, not a lot of leeway here. 7-inch wrist, there's maybe 2.5, 3 holes beyond this for me. So if you've got an 8-inch wrist, this is pretty much unusable. You're going to have to swap it out. If you've got an 8-inch wrist, perhaps look at one of their larger bronze models instead of this Horizons. But overall, far more to like than to complain about with the Horizons GMT. Zelos made my top 5 micro brands of 2018 video. One of the things that I talked about in that video was resale value. A lot of micros, you buy them, it's like setting fire to your cash. If you get bored of them or if you want to flip them at some point, you're lucky if you get 30-40% of your outlay back. Not so with Zelos, and especially as they jack the prices up. You pick one of these up at $650 US, chances are you might actually make a profit. You can speculate on Zelos in the way that you'd speculate on a Rolex. Now that's unheard of in the micro brand community. So there you have it, another cracking GMT from beyond the horizon. Not perfect, I could have done with a bit more definition of that GMT hand. I would have loved to have seen it in orange or red rather than yellow. It did kind of get washed out on the dial. I'm sure that's something that you would have got used to though. But as always from Zelos, the quality is there and the price is very reasonable. As noted, it goes up in 2 weeks' time, so if you're watching this video on the 16th of June, I'm sorry, you're out of luck. Thanks for watching, see you in the next one.